Everybody is in, I hope. Hello, good afternoon. That's our time here. And I'm very pleased that so many want to attend this workshop concerning the teleport or teleport revisited. I think it is a quite interesting tool, and I will go in depth into it. Just a little remark, I know that many booked the lecture, but I know that 3 until now did not join the group. That is no problem. Probably we can't do anything now while we are streaming, but we will do afterwards, and this video will stay online at least until Monday evening, so you have the chance to see it again. And thanks again for Luca for setting this up. This time we really stream direct, apart the camera, the microphone, and there shouldn't be any technical issues. If there are, it is not Facebook, it's not me, it is not the iPhone, it is not the Sennheiser, it might be the internet provider, because we had today, due to heavy weather, 2-3 times a short fallout. But just stay in line and we will pick up again, but most hopefully it won't happen. So let me explain you in the beginning shortly what you will get, and I hope I don't forget everything. So I will give you a short history about the teleport, because I think we should always give credit. I show you the original, I show you briefly how to construct it in case you would like to use the original teleport by Ted Leslie. We have been very good friends. Many people say it, but in my case it's true. I even stayed in his flat for more than 1 week in the late 90s in Berlin. And then I show you my take on the envelope. Well, let's call it the new teleport. And I show you also how to construct it. Very clear, and it is quite simple, even if this doesn't look like that. Then the second point, let me talk a little bit about general thoughts about it, when to use it, when not, why and how, because often it is we have a tool, we like it, and then we look for something where we can use it, and I think this is the wrong way. It is a tool which you can use when you find it is the right solution in the right context, because context is always very important. Then I give you some brief ideas for routines and adaptations. And my fourth point is I really will give you at least 3 routines, and 1 routine I will even perform entirely. Parts of it some might know, but if you add the teleport, it is a great thing. And finally, I have a bonus for you. After all this gluing and working with the envelope, I show you my book test. A book test, it is basically a variation, my take on David Hoy's bold book test. And it is very strong, and it is easy. You don't need any prepared books. And I did it recently before Corona during a few lectures in Germany and Austria, and I was surprised how many people didn't have an idea how it works. So I think it is really worthwhile. So this I put at the end. And now let me explain you shortly what the teleport envelope is. The teleport envelope was invented by Ted Leslie in the 80s, and he published it first time in the 80s in a German magazine called Magische Welt, in English Magic World, and for some reasons it didn't get a lot of attention, and probably because you had to do some paperwork, arts and crafts. And if you don't get it ready, many refuse doing it. I understand that. And then 1992, before, I think many of you know Ted Leslie's Para Miracles. By the way, this Ted gave me in person. I didn't pay for it. When I was visiting him in 1998, he gave it to me, so I was 98 in Berlin. But before 1998, the same book came out already in German, called Mental Mind Up, and the entire book is in German. And there was the last chapter is about the teleport envelope, and this came out in 1992, 28 years ago. And then 6 years later, this book got translated into English. And I have to admit that the English is done by Stephen Minch, great guy, fantastic books. It's a bit better than the German. edition because they put some additional things in it, also concerning the teleport envelope, a few more ideas, routines. The constructions basically is the same. And I know that, I think Ted never put it on video, and when you read it, it is probably a bit difficult to construct it. A few dealers try to give you kits so that you could construct it more easily. You still had to do some paperwork, and this is why probably many people heard about it, but they don't know exactly how to do it, and I think that might change after this workshop. So, to begin with, I show you the original teleport. This is Ted Leslie's teleport envelope. There is just one thing I changed. I'm going to show you, when I show you briefly, how to construct this envelope, because it is easier, I found out already many years ago, if you use a foil here, and if you peel off this foil, this envelope becomes a self-sealing envelope. So there is no leaking, or you don't need any rubber cement, what you normally really need in the original. This is easier, it is easier for the spectator, and it's far easier to construct a teleport without using on 4 different spots this rubber cement. So, it looks good, very ordinary, and the basic idea is that you can hand it out and you can use the envelope in 3 ways. You can show it empty, or somebody sees it as empty. He can seal it. When he reopens the envelope, there is something in it. So you can use it to make something appear. You can even use it to make something disappear. And both adaptations I don't like so much, because it stinks a little bit. Oh, it's a gimmick envelope. You put something in it, it disappears, or it's empty now, something is in it. But it is a really clever device, one of the most clever devices I've ever seen in my life. When we come to the point where you want to switch something, and this is also the only thing I'm interested in the envelope, is to switch things. And the strongest routines Ted was describing in his book, or in his books, also were always routines in which he was switching an object, banknote. So he had a routine like serial killer. I show you my take on it later. It is one of my routines. And then you see there is this little mark, so you know, because once it is sealed, to reopen it, you cut it, and therefore I will tell you a few words about it, how to construct it. So it is very clear, and the nice thing is, until now, I think it has not been copied. It's around almost 40 years. There have been some attempts which I don't like. It is like that you put something in it and you close it, and once it's closed, it has to be opened on the bottom. And I think it's a wrong idea. The good idea and the fantastic idea of Ted Leslie was that you put something here in it, you seal it, and you open at the same side where you put something in it, and then you open it, the same side. And there's nothing to find, and everything is handed out. It's hands off. You have not to assist. You can give it to the spectator. He has the envelope. He puts something in it. He seals it. He reopens it, and the object is switched. And I think this is very, very strong. So until now, I think it has not been copied, and there is a good reason for it. So I give you an example how it looks like. I make it brief. So I take one of my business cards. I just draw an X on it. So you see it as this. And it could be a spectator now who puts the card in it. I ask him probably to put it face down. And then, because this is prepared, he just peels off this foil. That's it. And now you see it is clearly self-sealing. He can seal it, he can give it to somebody else, and that's it. So if he reopens this envelope, and this really sticks very strong, he needs a pair of scissors. This is, by the way, also what Ted wrote, what I really like. So he gave the pair of scissors to somebody in the audience. So they were reopening the envelope in the audience, but then he had a reason to get back his scissors, his pair of scissors. And by this way, he also took the garbage of the rest left over of this envelope from the spectator. So if the spectator now, and he knows also, you not even have to comment. Of course, you could put it on both sides, but I prefer to have it here. Then he just cut it because he sees where to cut to reopen it. And if he cuts it open, then he can open it himself. And now it is, it's a different card. And he can even look in it. There's nothing to see. So it's really so clean. You can't get any cleaner. And this is the original teleport envelope by Ted Leslie. So now I show you my take on it, and the difference you will see also when we talk about the construction. And this one is my teleport. It is basically the same thing, but it is bigger, and you can, in theory or even practically, you could make it in any size, because I have different envelopes. I have them even in red, or I have one in green, and the size can be different. You could make them even with a big envelope like this one. It would be possible. The only thing is important that this flap is not too long. But it is very common. You find thousands of different envelopes when you go on Amazon, and the flap is quite short. If the flap would go down here, you would have probably a problem. But this way it is easy, and you would seal it, and it would work the same. So the nice thing is it is easier to construct. In my opinion, of course, it looks a bit more ordinary because this is the kind of envelopes we know. And even here I have the sign where to reopen it by using a pair of scissors. And even this you can hand to the spectator. Even here, this one is self-sealing with the foil. And so let's do the same. I take, you see, even I don't have to take a business card or a playing card. This is a file card, and the size of this envelope is a bit smaller than A6, so A4, A5, A6. So it's a bit smaller than the postcard. But it could be bigger, it is no problem. And this is an ordinary file card, bigger than a business card, and all I do now is I do this. And the spectator himself, he has everything, he puts it in. So now the file card is in it. He is going to peel this off, and he can now seal by himself the envelope, sit on it, whatever. And later on, of course, he needs a pair of scissors. Also, it depends what you put in, a playing card or a banknote, so it makes sense to use a pair of scissors that you not inadvertently damage something, what he finds in it. And he does exactly the same. He cuts it open again along this mark, and once it is open, he will find, of course, only one card in it, but now you see it got a smiley and there is nothing to see. And the nice thing is, so it looks empty before and afterwards. This side is a bit thicker because I'll show you in a moment how to construct it, but it is even logical because here is part of the flap, because you cut here, so it has to be thicker because here is the flap. Of course, the material shouldn't be transparent, it should be an opaque envelope. I always prefer a bit thicker paper. So there's even against the light, there is nothing to see. It looks empty because the spectator was handling that all the time, I think it is not even suspicious. So this is the teleport revisited, or the new teleport. I came up with this idea about 2 years ago while playing with the original, and then I had like, well, there is a way to use all different kind of envelopes, and then I came up with this, and it is, in my opinion, at least as convincing as the original. So, now, let me explain you briefly how to construct the original teleport envelope. And I know that, of course, that you probably won't use it, but if you read it and you see it once how it's done, so this is another teleport I made already. So what you actually do is, if you get an envelope, and now I start from scratch, I will use this one. So you need like 2 of the envelopes, and they look, of course, in the beginning like this. You have 2 envelopes and they look like this. So the first thing you do is you peel the bottom open, because there is some glue on it, and then it will look like this. All right? So, and you do the same here. So even peel this off. And in a moment I show you also what I do differently, because Ted used on 4 spots rubber cement, and by using this foil there are no spots. It is really easier to prepare. So now you have this open, and you have both open. So simple. About this I'm explaining you in a moment. And if there is something left over, you can peel it off, but it's not really important. And one you keep the way it is. I'll just put this away. So they're both open, top and bottom. And one of the 2, I just take this one because there is no glue on it. You just cut here the very, very rim. So just make sure that you don't cut too much, but it has not to be that precise. So now I have this. Well, this I cut a little bit off. So now I have this, and actually this is like the address side, and the 2 flaps are here. This is the bottom flap, and this is the flap which you need to seal the envelope. So now we make a test that this really fits into the regular envelope, which we opened only at the bottom. So if you take it like this and you slide it in, if it's too tight, then, but it's okay, then you cut off a little bit more. That's fine. So it would fit in. So important is that this is the inside, because the missing part is here, which you put into this, we call it sleeve. Even Ted called it a sleeve. This is the leftover we cut away, but keep it, because if you use some glue, you have something where can you put it on. And this flap, the bottom flap, we just cut a little bit smaller. You will understand in a moment why. Because what you will do afterwards is when you slide this in, I'll just try to make it as clear as possible. So when you slide this in, it's easy to find the right spot. So this is the bottom flap of the inlet, because you glue it here, it is smaller, and then you use the bottom flap of the original and still entire envelope, and then it looks like this. All right. So this is the bottom flap which you see here of the original envelope, which is still intact, and this is the bottom flap which we cut a bit smaller of the envelope which we cut apart. So now the difference, this is the only difference between the original of Ted and what I do, and I would suggest you do the same, because it makes life easier, and even the construction is that Ted now needed 4 spots with rubber cement. First of all, he had to erase, because all these envelopes, they come already with the glue here on it. So he needed always a rubber eraser to remove this. So this is some work. And then he put rubber cement. You know, rubber cement is like you have to put on 2 sides, then it dries, but when they come in contact, they stick together again. And beside that, when you use double-sided tape, the way I do it, it really seals far safer. So you had to put rubber cement, this is the entire envelope, on this side and on this side to make sure when you press this down that the flap stays down. And because, of course, you have this inlet which divides the envelope into two compartments. So basically, this is what always Ted said, it is a combination of clippo, I'm sure many of you know the trick clippo, and the two-sided envelope, or the so-called American envelope. So he combined clippo on the American envelope. But then you have to put also rubber cement on this side, about ½ an inch, and also inside here, to make sure, once the envelope is closed, that the compartment closes. And I think this is not quite easy. Beside that, if you carry an envelope like this in your pocket, there is of course always a risk, and if you are a nervous guy like me, that you do something like this, and then all of a sudden this will stick together. So therefore, I came up with the idea to use instead a double-sided Scotch tape. Actually, it's not Scotch what I use, but I have tried many. It doesn't matter really. It's not important what you use. This is 3M. It's a double-sided adhesive tape. So here it sticks, and once you remove this foil, the other side will stick too. And this is the easy thing, because if I put this foil on this part, which I put into the sleeve before I do, I basically have everything, because then I don't need the rubber cement on 4 spots. I just put one piece here and that's it. And it does all the rest. And this is quite easy. You see here is the folding of the top flap. And of course, as this compartment inside the envelope has to be sealed once you close the envelope, it is important that the double tape goes over this crease, approximately ½ an inch. I just put it on it and then I hold it in the camera, and it's always easier to take, you have not even to work precise. I take a piece bigger than I need. This is this, here it sticks already. And then I take this, of course it has to be the inside, and you see I just put it, and I hold it in the camera a moment, I put it on here, so I see the crease is here, it has not to be even precise. So I go here and that's it. So you see, when you see it, the crease is here, of the top flap. But you see that this tape actually has about ½ an inch, goes deeper. So that's it. Then I take always a pair of scissors, and even here you still don't have to work precise, because you will trim the top flaps anyhow. So actually when I don't explain it, I work much faster. Okay, so this is the entire piece now. This is the sleeve, and this is the inlet. So all I do now is I just put this back. It's easy to find the correct spot, because you bring this up, you glue it, then you bring this up, you glue it, and then the envelope is already closed at the bottom, and it looks like before, and then I explain you how to deal with the 2 flaps. So I just do it briefly. Sometimes I use small double-sided Scotch tape or taser to glue, but it's not really necessary. Sometimes it's a bit cleaner, but you can also use any paper glue. It's not important which one. So, and hope the camera can get it. So first of all, I just move this. I have to glue back the smaller bottom flap. This is the bottom flap of the inlet. I'll just remove this. So I'll put some of the glue here. And the best is always you use your finger to get it, and then I just close it. So this is the first flap. And then the second flap goes on top of it. So the second flap goes on top of it. So I do this again. So this is the bigger flap. I put paper glue on it. Okay. So it's always easier if you distribute the glue with your finger. So and then you bring this up. And now you see that this envelope on the bottom looks like before. And you can see the flap of the inlet because we cut the flap a bit smaller. So this is closed. Now we have, of course, this is important, now we have two flaps on the top. They are still both sort of loose, so we have to put them together, but if we use it as a switching envelope, we should not, I just bend it over to make it easier, we should not forget to put something in between here. So this is the upper side of the inlet, this is the upper side, and of course you put it at the back. This is towards the address side. So I just take one of my business cards, I put a smiley on it so that we know it is this one. And always think about how the spectator, how you ask the spectator to put in the object. So if you ask him, if he wrote down something, to put it writing side down, of course, then you have to put it also this way here. So I put it in here. Now it's in here. And now if I glue these two flaps together, then you can look inside. You don't see anything because towards the address side you have the business card. Okay. So now I do the same. So I just bend the inner flap towards me, and then I just put some paper glue on it, again using my finger. So entire piece is always good, and then you just bring these two together and then you glue them together. So now they look already like one piece, like one flap, because there are some leftovers of the Scotch tape, the double-sided tape. Well, this is no problem. You have not even to work very precise. All you do now is you cut it a little bit here. So you just trim it a little bit here. And then you do the same on top. And then this flap looks like an ordinary flap, but actually there are two flaps glued together. To make life easier for your spectator, just squeeze it strongly. To make life easier for your spectator, I recommend that you just peel off a little bit of the double-sided tape, just the foil, the cover. It's a bit easier when you wait until the paper glue is really dry, so that you don't peel it apart. And then you just crease it over. So I do it here right now. So I bend it over and I make a strong crease. So then it is easier for the spectator to peel off the self-sealing envelope. But you see, it looks really normal. You can look inside, there's nothing to see. Absolutely already nothing to see, not from the front, not from the back. And here you have the self-sealing envelope. A last word, of course, this shows the spectator where to cut it open. It is logical because he was also sealing at this side. You, of course, can make a drawing by hand, this if you got it. I did what Ted said, so I got rubber stamps. I'll show you. I got a bigger rubber stamp for my envelope, so if I take this and I put this here because it looks, I'll just make it this way, it looks nice because it looks like printed. And for the smaller, I have a smaller, and then it looks like this. So it is quite easy. You find many online shops, even in Germany, where you can order this online. You can make it in Word. This is what I did. I looked how big I needed because they offer these in all sizes. You make a little Word document. The scissors you find in the symbols of Word doc, Windings, you find the scissors, and then you just put the dash on the second pair of scissors, and then you change the Word docs to a PDF and just make it the size they need it. You send it them online, and then they will produce the stamps for you. So this is really easy. So now we have this teleport envelope ready, and so we make a final test, put something in it. We take a blank business card this time, so there's nothing on it. The spectator can do it by himself, even can keep it in his pocket, because this is the advantage if you use this double-sided tape instead of rubber cement, because it might always happen something, but this one you really can handle very free. So he puts something in it. If I see that it is a spectator who is a bit clumsy, sometimes I remove the foil or help him, or remove the foil before I give it to him and say pay attention because it sticks already, but normally it's no problem. This is also easier with my so-called new teleport. So the spectator puts it in it, he can remove the foil, that's it. And now it will close already here. If you really pay attention, it is already closed. You can't open it anymore. And then the flap goes over it and it's sealing too. So now the entire envelope is sealed. And you remember it was a blank business card, and if the spectator opens at the same side, then there's nothing to see. It looks very ordinary. He can open it, even though there's nothing to see. Everything is sticks. Then he removes this card, and now it is a different card. So this is the original teleport envelope by Ted Leslie, with the small difference that I use this tape and not on 4 different spots the rubber cement. So now we come to my envelope, which is far easier to construct, and not only far easier to construct, it has all the advantage that you literally can make it in all sizes. It will always work, and it looks absolutely ordinary. So my teleport, because this is far easier to explain than the teleport envelope of Ted. So it is basically, of course I need 2 envelopes. This one I put away. 2 identical envelopes. Here you see I put already the rubber stamp on it. This is the top side where the flap is. This is the address side. So this is part 1. Now part 2 is the second envelope. There is nothing. It's the way it comes, and this is really easy, because all you do is you just cut it open here, and you cut it open here, and now it opens like this. But we need only I call it the address side. We need only the address side. So I do the same, and this is the flap, this is the address side, and this is the crease of the bottom, and we just cut it along this crease, Again, we have not to be super precise because it goes in it. Well, this is not precise at all, but it doesn't matter. So now we have this. And look how easy it is. This fits into the envelope. That's it. Now you have already a two-sided envelope because you have the divider in it, which is this piece. You just slide into it. And now, whatever you want to switch, you put the same like with the teleport, the original, you put in the back on the address side, towards the address side. So these are the two flaps. And let's say the spectator puts a paper like this into it. It's again a smiley. So you put it between the two flaps. These are the two flaps, 1, 2. And between the two flaps, so of course then it will end up towards the address side. So, and now all you have to do to get this ready is to glue these two flaps together so it looks like one. And then we put at the very end, and this is extremely easy, just the tape on it and it will work the same. So I will make it briefly. So we have this, we have the two flaps, and so again I take the paper glue, so even here you just put enough on it and then you distribute it with your finger. That makes it far easier, and I think you see already now that this is far easier to construct. Just the same, but looks less suspicious, plus it's bigger in any size. So now I just bring these two together. They stick already, paper glue, wonderful. So now the compartment with the to be switched in object is already sealed. You see I have just one flap here. It's not totally perfect aligned, but it doesn't matter because at the end we cut it one time. And even here it is easier to put on the double-sided tape because I just put it here along the crease of the flap so that it is only on the flap. This is sufficient because then the flap will glue here, glue here, glue here, and it will also put together everything here. You will see when you reopen it, this is gone. So even here I always take a bigger piece than I need. It's not important and not expensive. So you see what I do, I just put it here along the crease. So you see it is here. So I could do it, of course it's too big, but it doesn't matter. I take a pair of scissors and just cut this away, and by this way I also trim both flaps which we have glued together, so they're really absolutely perfect. There's nothing to see, no edges, so amazing without a pair of glasses. If you want, you just can take the corners a little bit. Okay, and it's ready. Your envelope is ready. And the only thing we also do is we just remove the foil, the cover in one corner, bend it around and crease it to make it easier for the spectator to peel it off. So, but now this envelope really looks perfect because it is thicker paper. The spectator can open the envelope and he can look inside the envelope. And if he looks inside the envelope, there's nothing to see. He puts something in it. This time we take a blank card. So he puts something in it. It is easy. he can peel off this, he seals it, self-sealing, looks perfect. And if he reopens it, again the same side where he put in something, and this helps him to show where to cut it open. He cuts it open. It is open, he can open it, and now it is this one and there is nothing to see. You will see probably that this side feels a bit thicker. It is, but it is logical because here is part of the flap. So even this is very, very convincing. So he takes it out and there's nothing to see inside. It feels normal and the object is switched. So this is the so-called new teleport. I hope you understand it. As I said in the beginning, we keep this video online a couple of days, at least until Monday evening. So if you have any questions, come to the group, write the question. I promise you I will answer your questions. But it is really easy, and I think there is no problem that you rewind the video and look the video another time in case you have any questions. But I think you got all you need to know about the teleport of Ted Leslie, and let's call it the new teleport, which you can make in all sizes, and it is easier to construct, looks less suspicious, and it is a very useful tool.